the food we'll be eating next week. So there's a lot of cool opportunities to get involved for you watching at home, and please be nice to us.
Yeah, please. Last week, I think we had ice cream. Ice cream was a good way to close things off. So appreciate the ice cream call. Hopefully, we'll be able to get something delicious this time again.
Yeah, I mean, I never complain about ice cream, never in a million years. But we'll see what the result is when we get to that later on in the show. Let's take a look at our first matchup of the day. It is DePaul taking on Marquette. The DePaul roster went through some changes from last season, most notably the loss of Brown Mandarius in the top lane. What an absolute fiend he was. And now this team clearly, despite the good performance, we've seen from them before, struggling 1-1.
Struggling, I think, is a different word. I think we got to see a dominant performance in the best of DePaul. We also didn't get to see their match on broadcast against St. John's, and they're still adjusting. A new kind of reality, a new understanding of how they want to play the game, because it's not just going to be top-centric anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the preseason's for. I mean, even the best, when you've got new players into the mix, you got to become comfortable. And it's really going to be more of a tell whether DePaul are going to be able to turn it on by the end of the preseason. Maybe they make it that last ditch run for the playoffs. But I mean, at 1-1, they're not in a terrible position to make it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're still looking fine. Kamcha, of course, the player that we wanted to highlight in the mid lane. His Cassiopeia was an ever-present threat last season, and we'll see how he can flex and evolve now. The sophomore, neuroscience. I mean, that's some heavy lifting when it comes to education. We'll see if he can do some heavy lifting in this match. Diamond 2 is still super respectable. We're seeing a lot of consistent diamond level play across the board for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, and he's exactly that, consistent. Brown Mandarius was the ride or die. They really played through him last season. Now moving on from him, you got two other guys supporting, but it's really the play of Kamcha that is the make or break for him.
Yeah, exactly. And with so many more members coming into Collegiate, I mean, every year feels like there's a plethora of new talent that emerges. It's going to be interesting to see, do these new members start to elevate the teams? Like you mentioned, more diamonds, even getting into some masters, grand masters, the occasional challenger. And with more talent, more competition, it's only going to go up from there.
Yep. Exactly. The bigger pool of talent you have to pick from, the stronger your roster is going to be. But let's take a look at their opponents in this matchup. It is, of course, Marquette, team who didn't have the most success last season. They didn't have the most stellar record, but already this time around, 2-1, they are looking to change their fortunes in the preseason invitational.
Yeah, and again, brand new roster here. I believe beforehand, this is where our boy Silver Sable.
Yes,
tables
flip
for
those
Sable.
Tables.
For Sable Shadow. But Marquette moving on and now has a new roster, find themselves with a winning record and looking to continue this trend of moving on upwards. I think hopefully for this squad, the Golden Eagles, they deserve some success after sticking through a difficult 2019 season.
Right, so many new members coming into this one, but the one returning member is actually Lee. You may have noticed him seasons prior as Nova's chosen in the top lane for Marquette. So that's going to be the one holdover you're looking at. But even so, with Marquette's, past performances, you're looking at this new iteration of Marquette to really elevate that game and let them go toe-to-toe with the top.
Speaking of going toe-to-toe, we have to talk about the counterpart to Kamcha there in the middle. It is Lee, the traditional, they say support main here, but he's in the mid-roll.
He used to play top, he's played mid lane, and he's a good jack of all trades.
I love it. I mean, that's the thing too, is if you know if you have that big of a champ pool, not only can you flex into that in your own play, but you also know how a lot of these champions function, which means you know how to counter them. And having that additional level of knowledge just makes your game so much easier.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before. When you're in collegiate esports, you've got to go through the players that are at your school. You don't really get to draft, so sometimes you got to flex into another lane and work through that way.
You do indeed. Let's take a look at the draft, though, which is getting underway. Flexibility. We talk about it in terms of these players, and we talk about it in terms of drafts, because there's so many champs right now that you can flex in every different direction. And we'll see how a lot of these early picks on these really flexible champions often end up creating massive mind games over the course of these drafts.
And of course, we are, to just taking everything into account, we are on 9.22. And when you actually look at the DePaul squad, especially their draft versus Villanova, you have to immediately be wondering, are they going to get the same Pantheon Galio J4 combination that they got both games against them that helped them just hard smash? So That's kind of what I'm going to be looking for Marquette. Have they done their homework? Are they going to let things like that through so far? And seems to be yes.
Yeah, it just seems like, you always have to decide, are you doing power picks or pocket picks? And both teams always have to decide, like, all right, maybe a little bit mixture of both here. The only power pick getting taken away right now is the Kaisa from Marquette. Then after that, LeBlanc, Nunu, Aurelia, Lux, all very specific. And then Marquette taking away the very powerful Pantheon, 100% banned away from Worlds in this season.
Yeah, and I mean, with Marquette, like, these are the exact bans that I actually had written up here, because top laner is like a 400-game Aurelia main, jungle is a 300-game Nunu main, and then you got Lux in the mid lane as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see how deep the pockets go for Marquette, because you already lost your first set of bans. A lot more is open now, because there was very specific, like, these aren't the super meta. You used to have, like, the bot lane completely open still, Morgana's still up on the board. What do they go for now that maybe the super comfort is not quite there anymore?
Right, Xayah left up here. When you think about those top tier AD carries, both hit in 9.22, which is the patch that we're currently playing on. However, still Kaisa very comfortable. Xayah, you got that escape button with your Featherstorm, so keeping an eye on how Marquette's going to play this one out with their next two picks.
Yeah, Snickers MVP is a huge Pyke main, so that one makes a lot of sense as it does get locked in.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking towards that. Interesting how comfort seems to be the name of the game. You talk about pocket versus power. It seems like pocket is really going for. I mean, J4 is obviously a super consistent pick, and we see him even in the highest level of play, but prioritizing him first over the Xayah, super. The fact that we're not even, I mean, obviously she did receive some slight nerfs in the last patch, so she's hopefully, if the patch is correct, going to be dropping off a little bit, so she's not a absolute must pick up here. And already we're seeing things totally flipped on their heads with this draft.
Yeah, the Hecarim coming on in early, knowing that there are, again, other junglers that are higher priority in terms of the highest level of competition going through. But Galio now in there, and you've got the cataclysmic entrance coming in with the Galio and the J4 ultimate, as well as Braum coming on in. This is a team fight composition we've ever seen.
Did we see this before? We saw this before, just a little bit. That Galio play from Comcho was sick.
Yeah. No, he's looked disgusting on it so far, and this is one of the biggest things when you have a team in kind of this caliber of competition, when you're at like the semi-professional, amateur kind of middle level. You always want things that, of course, are a little bit complex to operate on, so obviously the J4 Galio, but things that just start fights. You just want to press buttons and hit the opponents, and that's how you get on through. Now, Marquette do one step better than Villanova. They banned the Pantheon this time, but still, the J4 Galio, that's the core of the composition.
Yeah, definitely. And looking on the other side, Lee going to go with the Syndra in the mid lane. So we've been calling him support main, top lane main. Now he's going rack on, full-on mid laner here with the Syndra. Could flex down to the bot lane role too, like Mike, but right now we'll keep an eye on it. I assume it'll probably be Lee in the mid lane, especially when you have a Pyke like that wants to go ahead and get his resets.
Yeah, and also when you have not only the roaming capability between the Pyke and the Hecarim, but the Syndra's a great blind pick here, especially because the fact that you pick it last rotation in the first set of picks, which means you get to pick something and you can ban off two things if you want to. I think that's a Kog'Maw. All right, so Kog'Maw again, so maybe not mid lane focused bans, but we'll be getting out of the way one way or another.
Interesting. The Fiora ban coming out as well from DePaul. That's an interesting pickup. Clearly a direct target over at Wins on the other side. I love the denial of the Kennen as well, because it's just another big team fight champ. If you get the Wombo combo off to start things off with what DePaul already has, put a Slicing Maelstrom on top of that, lock him in, and just flip the switch and take a night.
Yeah, so taking away some of the future team fight prowess that DePaul could possibly be rolling with. But here we go, Marquette now. You got to decide, where do you go with top lane? Gonna go with GP, so you're leaving your 80 carry for the counter pick. It's kind of an interesting decision here with Marquette, unless, of course, they're flexing the Syndra down to the bottom side.
I think that's really what they're going for here, but also the fact that GP was left available. I originally thought it was going to be a Vlad, because I actually have been watching BDC's solo queue, and he's recently been spamming the Vladimir, but this is also that other kind of thing where you get rid of the super aggro top laners on the other side, you get rid of the Kennen, you get rid of things that can just hard bully you, and you just farm. I mean, anyone who's a North American fan, it's Hoonie time. It's time to farm for about 40 minutes and win the game anyway. So you have these early game things like the Pyke, like the Hecarim, like the Syndra that facilitate the earlier stages, and the Gangplank, that's the insurance policy in the back pocket.
All right, and it's interesting also to note that Lucian is oftentimes picked as a counter to GP, but of course we know that it's going to be dropped down in the bot lane.
Oh, wow.
With the Braum as well, and interesting. Oh, they're hovering the vein there for a second. Ashe also did receive some very slight nerfs in the most recent update, but I would be very surprised if we actually did see the Lucian rotate up, especially with that last pick. So Lucian Braum, that feels like a tried and true classic for DePaul.
Yeah, and there we go. The Zaya going all the way down to the final pick here.
Yeah.
One of the main AD carries that has been played a ton, prioritized a ton because of the safety and the amount of late scaling that Zaya basically can put out at the late game when you're throwing out so many feathers and able to hit so many different targets all at once.
It is going to be interesting, though, because Zaya was nerfed around the mid-game. Her W, which basically was a free Zeal for her in the past, did get a little bit of a reduction in attack speed, so it's slightly less effective in hitting those spikes, but against DePaul's side, this is probably the strongest bot lane duo that exists in League of Legends. It's Lucian and Braum. It's a bot lane as old as the champions themselves. Then you have the J4 Gallia as an insane combo and engagement out of the Kled. If this was like a puzzle game, like this is lining up like 7 in a row where everything on the screen just explodes and you get 5 billion points. That's what DePaul's just pulled off.
So it sounds like, and we'll get there in a second, but in terms of predictions, it sounds like you are already favoring DePaul, which is the same situation I'm in right now. DePaul are coming into this, I think, as favorites overall in terms of history, in terms of their presence in the Big East, but also this draft just feels really cut and dry. It's a lot of comfort. It's great engage. It's wombo combo. I love everything about this. Just give me more sick Galio plays and then give me something so comfortable like a Lucian Braum. It's no question for me, it's DePaul.
Yeah, you know, winning early and then very easy team fight to execute afterwards. I think the biggest difficulty for DePaul is not to fall behind too far where your team fight isn't strong enough, but it is easy enough to execute. I'm going with Blue Demons as well.
Yeah, I think it's really important to note that DePaul doesn't scale that well. There is no security blanket, but, you know, I think they have the tools. They get the comfort. I have to say DePaul as well.
All right, well, we're all in agreement here on the desk for the first game of the day. We'll see if DePaul can live up to our expectations or if Marquette's going to come out and say, hang on, guys, don't count us out just yet. We're going to get into game number 1 here, brought to you by Grubhub, and see if DePaul can shake off that last little loss and if they can continue their run in this season in good form.
That's right. Thanks, Grubhub.
Thanks, Grubhub, helping bring us all the action here for ESL Collegiate, a fantastic partner to have. If you're a fan of good food being delivered to you with, you know, who wants to work to get, I just want to have the food brought to me.
Bring it to me so that I can study these teams and they can study while they're in classes. Oh, Hunky Hank, you didn't go through the bush. Hunky Hank.
Oh, you hate to see it.
That's one of my favorite names.
Hunky Hank, oh, so good.
Because he could have been so many other types of Hanks. He could have been a handsome Hank.
You could have been...
You can't think of an H adjective. You messed up.
I really did. Oh, boy. You could have been...
Howlin' Hank. Hurryin' Hank.
You could have been... Oh,
Hustlin' Hank.
gosh. Okay, I'm just going to stop. We're going to stop with this. This bit is done. I'm vetoing the bit.
All right.
Vetoing the bit, D-Gun.
Well, is that because you're hurting? Because it could have been hurtin' Hank?
Okay.
He has a lot of the thing that's on your head.
Harry Hank? Thanks, buddy.
Gotcha.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
So one of the things I look at when I take a look at these two compositions is the idea of burden of execution. And when I look at DePaul, I feel like there's the burden of execution's on 2 champions, but it's a very easy combo. You go in, flag drag, cataclysm, hero's entrance, done.
Yeah.
I look over on the other side, and there's a lot more involved in the raw execution of how you deal with this. Yeah, Hecarim's going to be valuable in closing distance, but they don't have as clear of a go button. A lot of this seems to be like, hope we land a bone skewer and go from there. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, at level 6, I think that's where the composition for the Golden Eagles turns online just a bit there with Cannon Barrage coming out of the top lane, no matter where Gangplank is. You see his stats this season, 19 games. KDA's relatively close, but Kled, less games this season, higher KDA between the two. And I think, again, it turns online at level 6. GP can affect the bottom side of the map. Hecarim will come on in, get the ult down, put everyone in fear, and you try to pick off one, get the resets. The worry is that so much of Marquette's damage right now is based off of burst damage. If you're not quite able to burst someone down, that's where you have difficulty. With Kled, you get that almost extra life, that GA type interaction between Kled and Skarl. You've got the shield and the tankiness of a Galio. You've got the unbreakable shield of Braum. So your burst better be good and on the right target, and making sure you get one down and then use your numbers advantage to allow Zaya to constantly throw out feathers to pull back later.
Yeah, that's really the big thing here is, if you can't take him out of the initial round of burst, which, as you said, is going to be difficult to do, it's making sure you set your Xayah up to do good, consistent damage over the course of these fights. And already down at the bottom, it seems like DePaul is wanting to try and put some pressure on and trade, but they're not actually walking away as the victor in these trades. Seems like Marquette already in this bottom lane matchup is abusing the range they built up for themselves a little bit with this Xayah, but now Kled rotating down into the jungle. Oh, okay.
Yep. Nice play there by Joy to just smite that one away, realizing, hey, we're doing inverse jungling. So bottom side of the map belongs to DePaul. I'll take the top side, get my red, and head to the opposite side. And both junglers with that understanding left the Krug up, but on the opposite side, Reaper left the Wolves up as Joy now going to go for the first gank.
We're starting to see things getting going here. Justice Punch to just walk away, or violently punch himself away as Kamcha.
Yeah, but with that vision idea, now Marquette knows, or now DePaul knows exactly where the jungler is going to be. So Joy heading on over to his Wolves, which is why Reaper left that up, and now gonna have an opportunity here.
Yeah, gonna start a bit of a fight in the jungle of Marquette. We're just seeing a little bit of cover, making sure Reaper's able to get himself out, and no problem.
Yeah, and what that does is it forces Lee back just a bit. Lee not able to CS as much as he should have, and Kamcha providing a little bit of cover also makes Lee fall slightly further behind in terms of experience. Not in CS, because Lee's been CSing pretty well in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I got to give a lot of props here. Going toe-to-toe with Kamcha. Obviously it's like, oh, the Galio, not really a melee the melee matchup, this should actually favor Lee, but we just know how scary Kamcha is on this champ. Of course, the Winds of War are able to create a lot of space in this matchup, and the constant fear of the taunt, should he want to engage in you. We've seen him just solo mids in the past before, no problem.
Yeah, and again, Kamcha, he's the one that really is the tone setter for this squad. They find success usually through him. If it's a struggle beforehand, then that is his job to fix. He's the consistent one that you're expecting out of this. I want to touch here on the bottom side of the map. Amazing and Hunky Hank here. New duo. It was Boris for last season. Yep. And Hank and Boris, not the focal point, but definitely formidable in this league. Looking to continue that same setup here as King of Mason trying to figure out the setup here. Reaper coming on in with the knock-up. Snickers in a little bit of trouble. Ignite going down, but he will be able to heal on up past the Ignite. And so nice play there by DePaul to force out multiple summoners from Marquette.
Not a single flash burn for DePaul. That's actually huge, because this is sort of the groundwork that they laid to set up an additional kill moving forward. However, the jungler of Hecarim has moved down from Marquette, but finding that in the jungle, J4 right on the flank here too, but walking just out of range. So this could be an interesting opportunity for Marquette to try and punish an overextension.
Yep, and you feel a little bit safer because your gank just came on through. Here we go, nice little hook, and there's your first blood going over to the Golden Eagles. I think DePaul getting a little bit too comfortable here. More pressure coming on through, maybe one more bone skewer possible for Snickers. Can Hunky Hank do the dance? No, he can't, does get hooked, but like Mike was still farming. He's getting the CS, and that's all of that engage. Reaper now thinking about possibly getting some. Snickers with another bone skewer in just a second, starts channeling, able to get it, pulls back, burns the flash out of Reaper, and a very successful counter gank coming out of the Golden Eagles.
Massively successful. Not only do you pick up the kill, not only do you get the flash out of the jungler, but you just establish the presence down there that is going to constantly be in the back of the mind of DePaul for the rest of this laning phase. They are not going to be feeling nearly as comfortable. Keep in mind, DePaul is coming off of a loss going into this game. They fell to St. John's. They are not feeling as indestructible as they are in the past. They know they have some weaknesses, and Marquette showing a little bit of that already in this early game.
Yeah, pretty interesting, I guess, mood in catching a team like this that so dominantly beat the former champs in the form of Villanova, went through that whole process of like, hey, look, we defeated our demons, we should be all right, and then dropping a game to St. John's, as you see right here, hitting level 6 is maybe soon forcing the flash out of BDCT, and that was a greedy teleport. Or a great teleport there by maybe soon. A greedy one, but able to capitalize on the fact that
be both.
It was bad pathing out of GP.
Yeah, and I think I just want to call them wins up at the top. BDC, other one, I don't know. Probably just wins. Wins seems easier.
Wins.
Wins. Ooh, that culling though. Boy, it does a lot of damage, but this is a hard flank if I have ever seen one. And they're going to look to try and set this one up. Lucian, of course, going to be the target, having the dash to try and get out of range. We're having the GP ult come in to try and slow this one down. The hero's entrance is here as well to slow all additional advance. And good little play from Kamcha, able to get into position to help out the rest of his team. No kill from Marquette.
Yeah, and that's pretty tough there for Marquette. It was a solid setup, but then like Mike, just getting bursted down by the culling. He has not hit level 6 yet, so a level discrepancy. Good on Hunky Hank and King Amazing to utilize that and prevent the gank from coming on through. But now Hunky Hank in a little bit of trouble. Reaper is here for the counter gank, and Reaper just hasn't been able to find anything on his terms yet. It's been a lot of counter ganking, not quite ganking yet, as Kamcha getting traded out. And that's what you got to do if you're Lee. You know you're going to get hit by the Justice Punch. Stay close enough to turret range that you're not getting all in, and as soon as he gets out, that's a difficult thing with Galio. You use your Justice Punch inwards. You have to shoot something out. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, and of course, wanting to potentially bait him with a stun there on the Syndra. And, oh, that was fun. That's always a good time. That's always a good time to be had. You got to feel really good about that on the side of Marquette. And looking at this top lane, I mean, the GP is always going to do pretty well in a lot of these matchups. He's just a pretty solid laner. But looking at this now, what does this Kled really have to do? Just continue on at this stage in the game? You just sort of sit back and you just survive and just don't give up anything to the GP?
No. You have to play aggressive. Kled is the winner in this lane. GP is a safe laner under turret, but when he's that far up, you need to be able to punish. Not quite there yet in terms of items. You have the Tiamat. Also, Reaper showed on the bottom side of the map when he was getting the scuttle. So if you're maybe soon, you're not 100% sure where Joy is, so you don't want to go aggressive right now at that point. And so I think right now, if you're wins, you're thinking, hey, look, we just saw J4 on the bottom side of the map. We no longer have vision of him. We don't know where his pathing is. He might be coming back towards me. I've gotten to shove that wave in. Now let me head back to my turn. So it's just a back and forth understanding where the junglers are. Because like Mike, just kind of taking this aggressive pathing through the river, and it just has to blow
Baits the ult.
his summoner.
Yeah.
Or blow flash, blow ult.
Yeah, I mean, just walks in, gets the Featherstorm out of it, so that's nice. That's a bit of it's a lot of utility now being denied, which is going to open up this Infernal Drake, and pretty much dead even in terms of gold right now, but we'll see how much DePaul does want to commit to this. It looks like they do not want to overextend right here. A very good call from them. They've been punished already on that a little bit as up top. We're seeing a bit of a battle. Say you need to go aggressive on this GP, and that's exactly what we are seeing, Degon. That is it, and that's what I was looking for. This is the sort of pressure that we only really saw exerted a little bit. I'm like, okay, GP seems to be doing all right in this lane matchup here. Not one he should be, but then the Kled steps up and go, wait a second, no guys, this is how it goes.
Yeah, and that's the right play. I think it took a little bit longer, and maybe Soon was able to capitalize on the fact that we saw Winds flash earlier. So you're waiting for your ult to come back online, and you're taking a little bit more time. Nice bone skewer, getting the dash back over the wall, though, is King Amazing. And now it sets up this battle back and forth here between Marquette and DePaul over the Infernal Drake. You know that both top laners currently out of commission for it. Winds does have his ultimate, but DePaul have position.
They do, and I think Marquette is going to look to go in and try and contest this. Can they find it? They get the snipe onto it. Beautiful play going in, but the rest of the members of DePaul are going to look to try and collapse on this, getting the taunt there in the pit. So take another kill onto the Hecarim. Not able to get anything else through it, but a kill for the Infernal. I'm not sure how Marquette feels about that. They probably feel all right.
Yeah, big steal by Joy coming on in, smiting that one away. The Shadow of Onslaught creating enough chaos, miss-smiting out of Reaper there, and I think it's always a difficult situation when your character's moving an opposite way and everything's flashing around. So solid play there by Marquette to continue the scaling factor with the GP on the top side of the map. Yes, he did give up that kill, but he's only down 6 CS, and you got an Infernal Drake to play with in just a bit.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously having that additional little bit of damage is going to go a long way, especially with the scaling for this team. Having the Xayah, having the GP, having the Syndra, having the Pyke even as well. Pyke's one of those very unique champs in League, which is a support that does hard convert into a carry if you get them enough farm in that late game. Getting the resets on the ult is going to be such a difficult thing to deal with should you get to that point. And DePaul, you know, Return mentioned it going into this. Their late game scaling is not excellent.
Yeah, it's
okay.
You hit a mid-game spike probably around like 25 at most 30 minutes here with King Amazing on the Lucian. And again, very easy team fight composition to execute, but you've got to make sure that everyone's all on the same page. And in that last one, the call was to finish the Infernal Drake. And that's why Marquette didn't open themselves up to get engaged upon. Reaper was so focused on the Infernal Drake that he wasn't able to flag and drag, ult some of the valuable targets in the back line. And Marquette needs to constantly stay away from these types of team fights until they're strong enough to win them.
Yeah, and I think that's something they're toting that line very well right now. They're not afraid to skirmish. They're not afraid to trade a little bit back and forth. They're not afraid to try and look for some ganks, which is exactly how they need to be playing this, but not letting themselves get rolled over by any stretch. But at the same time, they know their late game scaling is where their power truly lies. And especially once we start to get into this mid game, I don't expect them to want to take too many outright fights against DePaul, because as we mentioned, their engage is so simple. It's so easy. Don't let them play their game. Don't let them set up the wombo combo. Don't fight them, kite them, move around, out-rotate. That is how Marquette wins this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see now DePaul just trying to pressure you, getting a little bit of time where maybe Soon is looking for some sort of flank, some sort of dive somewhere, but instead not quite able to, and he'll head back to the top side of the map. But Joy, easy gank here against Kamcha. Kamcha in trouble, trying to adjust his punch. Gets caught up. The stun does buy a little bit more time, but Lee's able to pick that one up. It's a little too easy there for Marquette.
Greedy channel on that one. A little bit too long in the Justice Punch. Should have maybe popped that a little bit earlier. Burned Flash as well through all of that. So a great little gank coming in from the Hecarim play of Joy, being the exact opposite of that to DePaul.
And these are the types that Marquette wants to take. Just get your gank in there, use the ult if needed, now use your numbers advantage on the bottom side of the map. If you miss, like Snickers just did right there, that's fine. Don't over-engage. Don't try to force it. Make sure it is your fight that you're looking for. But here we go. Joy in a lot of trouble, stuck in the Cataclysm. Snickers trying to get in there, hooks somebody. He hooks King Amazing, but no damage to follow through. Joy put into misery right there. Kamcha came down on the bottom side of the map with the TP. Now Marquette have to decide, hey, this is a 4v2 on the bottom side of the map. You've got Lee as well, slowly roaming his way down over. And now on the top side of that, maybe Soon trying to win the 1v1. Wins, trying to get the barrels down, and maybe Soon will back off. A lot of fighting across the map here.
DePaul getting a lot from that, not only getting the turret in the top, not only getting the kill, taking a little bit in the jungle as well. Great for the Storm to try and dodge that one out. Pike's going in underneath the turret, but they're going to try and follow up, flashing, coming out from both sides. Now Hunky take a lot of damage in the back of this, and Zai's going to try to go back in and get that, and it's actually the Pike that picks it up. King Amazing's popping the culling underneath the turret, trying to get that kill as well, but Kamcha's in a little bit of trouble. The Syndra ends up going down underneath the turret. So it looks like it is going to be the pickup coming in from DePaul, losing one member, and I believe getting only the one kill.
Woo, no.
Oh, hang on.
Snickers not quite done yet. He had the reset. The stun does come down, but no TP coming out of BCD. Wins. And so Wynn's just going to watch the rest of his team start to fall, and Joy, who just got revived, might be going back to the fountain one more time.
Oh,
There's the backup. Joy goes right back on down, and DePaul playing the aggressive game. Marquette needed to back off the turret. An aggressive play by King Amazing, getting the full combo and wins the 80 carry duel.
Oh, beautiful play from King Amazing that entire time. Going in, back underneath the turret, getting the kill on the mid laner, finding the additional kills to follow up. Marquette had a great thought process. Look, they're maybe a little bit overextended. Maybe we can make this work, but DePaul continues to collapse, continues to pressure, and showed their early game prowess.
Yeah, and this is where things got a little dicey. Marquette was aware there were 4 members here on the bottom side of the map, but they still stuck around the turret, and the worst part about all this is the turret doesn't play a part in this fight. You get the first kill on a Hunky Hank because they were under the turret, but then after that, so much damage was dished down. King Amazing able to flash out of the turret after he gets a full channeling of the culling on top of Lee. And then Snickers, I think this is fine. You pick up that last kill on the Kamcha, let him go, but Joy, with the I think I can mentality, like Mike was like, I just wanted to farm the minions and back off here. And so like Mike, you see him go back and forth, missing some time here. The feathers aren't getting laid down, so as much time as Joy is buying, it didn't quite work out. Amazing with the aggressive play, able to get the burst down onto Zaya, who isn't quite there yet. And we saw, like Mike, use Feather Storm earlier, so didn't have it in that last bit of the fight. And DePaul now take control of the game. Only 1,000 gold lead, but a good turnaround here for the team that needs to be leading with this team fight composition.
You nailed it, D-Gun. They need to be ahead in this early mid-game. Picking up another Drake, going to be doing a little bit for them here, as well as continuing to put the pressure on that bot lane turret, as well as opening up things in the top. Really, the thing they're looking for here has to be mid. If they can knock down this mid turret, that is where the opponent's side of the Rift will really start to open up as we're seeing the bottom one fall at all. Rift Herald is going to be a great way to achieve that mid-turret victory, but Marquette's not going to give this one up without a fight. They are grouping as well to look to try and contest this.
Yeah, I think this is a solid play here by DePaul to set it up, and this is what you don't want if you're Marquette. You want to prevent them from being able to group up two things. Try to find the picks while teams are on the way to the objective. Get the vision down early, and that's why team fight composition's a lot easier to execute, especially here in Collegiate.
Yeah, I mean, the team fight compositions, just trusting in the 5v5 or 5v4, and then catch somebody out in an ideal situation. Making the calls about when to split push, that's really when we start to up the difficulty level on this shot calling. Having a strong shot caller is so crucial, and that's oftentimes where we see teams start to slip.
Yeah, taking a look at the items right now. GP still getting online, does have the Trinity Force, so that does help, but he is a whole 2 items behind the Kled on the opposite side, both with the Hydra and with the Black Cleaver. So a little difficult for him to try and outsplit push the Kled right now. Again, Kled, just an aggressive top laner that wants to take it to these guys that want to sit back and farm. You see him into Vladimir, you see him into GP, and then it has the team fight capability of everyone staying charge, getting on the same page, and catching out a team that is in a numbers disadvantage here.
Yeah, and we're looking at this bot lane matchup as well in terms of these items. We're seeing, you know, obviously both going for that Essence Reaper first, but the big difference here is Lucian about to finish that second item. 4-1-1 right now, 450 gold bounty on his head. Keeping an eye on King Amazin, who has looked so fantastic in these fights, the way he's able to keep himself at the perfect distance, because of course, Lucian doesn't have the biggest range by any stretch here,
right.
So it's finding that super comfortable distance. Clearly him and Hunky Hank have found a good sort of break point in these fights of where exactly they want to live.
Yeah, and again, Hank worked with Boris last season, who was playing in the top side of the map, so Hank used to working with players that have had to swap roles and get comfortable with them, and really a focal point of this team so far. 4-1-1, the most fed player, not only on his team, but in the game.
Yeah, and that's huge, because they need to have this Lucian. Oh.
Wins nose, but maybe soon. Throwing it just a bit short.
Yeah. Walking into this bush, maybe soon.
Yeah.
Maybe being the opportune. I mean, I love the decision. Was like that. Wait, hold on. This doesn't feel right. This bush, a little sus. Just gonna put it out there.
And it always feels bad when you die trying to ward as well. So Wins knew, hey, look, I need to ward this to be even safe. But a lot of the time, when you die trying to ward, it feels bad. Team's like, hey, dude, what's going on?
I was trying to give us vision to prevent that from happening. That thing that just happened? Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, stop doing that thing. And that's the end of the conversation. That was solo Q 101 right there.
Yeah. Solo Q 101, don't die.
So maybe soon taking control of the bottom side of the map, because GP, again, not quite there yet in terms of items. And that allows DePaul to continue to pressure this mid lane. And we're hitting a little bit of a lull here, right? Marquette has an opportunity to look for a pick on the top side of the map, possibly, because that's where the isolated Galio is. And you can see Hecarim start to rotate on up. Think about it as he clears up the red.
But speaking of this Galio, we've seen Kamcha take over games. I'm talking like, I think 7-1-4 or something. You know, this very similar point in a previous game. And now looking at him, 0-2-1. He is not the same massive, impactful threat we're sort of used to seeing here, which means that if I'm Marquette, I'm even happier to just continue just to sit back and let this go, because I'm not even worried about the additional threat of this Galio in this fight. Really, it's worried about the Lucian, maybe worried about the Kled, but that's about it.
Yeah, 2,000 gold, only a 2,000 gold lead here at 20 minutes. Marquette is expected to fall slightly further behind here with the GP. And pretty good farming by Lee so far in the mid lane.
Yeah.
Nova's chosen now down in the mid lane, known as Lee. And has done a solid job keeping it close. The Rift Herald will take that mid turret, so good usage by DePaul. And they use it at the perfect time to rotate down to the bottom side of the map and get position for the Infernal Drake. This is the fight that DePaul wants.
No hesitation. DePaul is going right into the jungle. The Culling doing a lot of damage there. The Justice Punch is going to look to line up right after this hero's entrance. Cataclysm trying to split the fight as best they can. They get the double kill onto the Zaya. The Featherstorm not doing nearly enough. That was the initiation. No hesitation. Kled from the flank with the Lucian there to back this up. Not overcommitting this time once again on an Infernal. This time, they're looking for those kills. Dagon going gold ain't going to do much at this stage of the game.
Yeah, that was the only part of that golden play for the Golden Eagles here, because DePaul made a fantastic, I wouldn't call it a macro play, but I would say a mini macro play. It didn't get him everything across the map, but you cash in on the fact that you have the Rift Herald, you drop it mid, you know it's going to take the focus of the Golden Eagles there, and it's an Infernal Drake. So if you're Marquette, you just have to understand, because we lost the Rift Herald earlier, we're going to lose our mid lane turret, and that's all we can fight for, because if we group up and show up late against a grouped up DePaul squad around the Infernal Drake, we're going to lose that fight. And it played out exactly how everyone expected it to, except Marquette.
And that felt like bait. That 100% felt like bait. They just said, okay, Marquette, you did okay the last time we did this tango. You did the last time we did this dance. You walked away. You got a cool seal. Good for you. So we're going to go forward again, except we're not. Except Kled's going to come in from the flank through that mid, through that recently opened up mid turret. Instant utilization on that macro pressure. And you said mini macro play. I love that call because it truly was that from DePaul. It wasn't a huge cross map thing,
right,
but the overall rotations that they set up pay dividends for them here. And, well, that's not a champion you can kill very easily. Let's put it that way.
Gosh, that was, thank you, Crits.
Yeah.
Pike getting pummeled there by the double shot of Lucian. And again, now Marquette's scaling job a little bit tougher. And I think this is just one of those tough skills to learn, when to put the brakes on, when to understand, hey, look, we want that Infernal Drake, we definitely do, but we don't have a claim to it. So therefore, we can't pick this fight. We've seen a lot of pro teams struggle with this concept. It's like, hey, look, yes, the Infernal Drake will help us win, but what will help us win more is keeping this gold lead small. And we do that by not feeding over kills in this case. That Drake was never ours to begin with. All we did was lose a Drake that wasn't ours and feed them over gold.
At this point, teams playing at this level of play should know what their win condition is. Marquette should know, look, our win condition is we don't give up too much, we scale late, we outscale, we outdamage, we can team fight no matter what. We just have to take scrappy team fights late, and we can make this work. DePaul's win condition is we have to keep the pressure up, have to keep the pressure up, have to keep the pressure up before we get outscaled. And knowing that, looking at this from the outside looking in, but these teams should know that too. Marquette, like you said, have no right to go after that when it doesn't fit their win condition.
Yeah, and it's been a bit of a bummer here for Joy. Joy's, I think, had a solid early game, but since then hasn't been able to capitalize. Missed ult there by by Maybe Soon means that's one major engage tool down for DePaul. And every time DePaul makes like a false start like that, a false engage, it gives Marquette more time to continue to scale. But they've got to remember that, hey, we're on the scaling side of things. Yes, we want to capitalize and punish, but we might be in trouble.
Oh boy.
Joy using the ult backwards. But again, not the greatest thing to have to do, but you're buying yourself time to continue to scale. But DePaul now, they realize the major engage tool for Marquette is gone. Now they're going for the Baron.
We got a pretty tanky front line here to try and soak up some of this damage. Maybe Soon is here on the flank trying to create space. Watch for Hecarim though on the back of this fight. Huck taking a lot of damage to start this off. That is the problem. Not in a great position. Hecarim's gonna go and try and pick that up. Great Glacial Fissure though. The counter initiations are trading at 1-for-1. Maybe Soon that was in the midst of all his foes, but here comes the Galio. Trying to continue to clean this one up, but the Baron is still up. Reaper's taking a lot of damage trying to get this done. King Amazing needs to look to go in and do this, but keep an eye on the GP. Look at the damage from the Galio. Kamcha single-handedly keeping Marquette back, which means the Baron goes to DePaul.
Well, Kamcha was the most recent one that was defending. The big winner out of all this was Maybe Soon. He bought so much time by preventing Like Mike from getting on in there. And huge props to Like Mike. I was watching that as an AD carry player myself saying, nobody is peeling for me against the guy that wants to sit. Look at the bottom of your screen there. Maybe Soon just 1v1 against Like Mike. And that's exactly what your job is. Yes, Hunky Hank goes down. Joy tried to go on the back line. But again, Like Mike surviving that long was a miracle, I would say. And it got the job done. After that, now the main damage source can't get in there. It's a lot of burst coming out of Winds, out of Leave, but they started focusing Kamcha instead of the Baron. Plus, they don't have a smite there. Well played by DePaul to distract the main consistent damage source out of the AD carry role.
Maybe Soon and Kamcha doing the do-si-do of aggro in that one, trading back and forth, creating so much space, giving the time. And I mean, if you're Hunky Hank through that, yeah, you gave your life, but absolutely worth it. You denied Joy, you gave your team the kill, and more importantly, helped secure that Baron for your team. And now with the Mountain coming on in, that is going to be a lot of additional pressure for the siege that DePaul is going to be able to excerpt. What a fantastic Drake for them to pick up off the back of this Baron buff. This is their opportunity. They need to go now. This is their chance to win this game.
That's right. Take your time, but you want to start closing the game up here in the next probably 3 to 7 minutes here. If you're DePaul, play on the back of your Lucian, who's just massive right now, has a ton of crit chance, but don't get caught like this. Ooh, Hunky Hank coming in right on time, but here comes the flank. It's just a 3v5 right now for DePaul.
Oh!
But look how quickly King Amazing deletes the Hecarim, and now onto the back line. Another hook coming on in, but here we go. Charge, says Skarl and Kled. Nice hook coming on in. Maybe Soon, maybe in a little bit of trouble. He's barely outside turret range, so he's able to buy a little bit more time. Winds of War by the Galley over the wall, dishing out damage. Reaper trying to get a knock on the back line. King Amazing trying to burn down Lee, and he sables you with the Lucian, getting the double shot there. And DePaul Siege, it was a little janky back and forth, but they're still moving.
Over the wall.
Forward by the 80 carry. It's a dream, but Snickers able to get one, able to get two now with the reset. Look how low people are. Kamcha going golden. Nice fake out there by Reaper to go golden himself, and Reaper might have bought just enough time. Wins trying to get one more barrel down. Reaper might be able to win this auto attack battle. He is able to pick up the pike. Oh, that was hectic, but overall a 5-for-4 Marquette able to hold off the push there against DePaul.
And now maybe Soon, who died right at the start of this fight, I believe. Or did he actually get able to get himself out through all that? It was so chaotic.
He did. He has Baron. I lied.
Yeah, he did. He was able to get himself out through all of that there. And now he's going to come in and continue this push, knowing that he is strong enough at this stage that he cannot really be contested. The last remaining member of the Baron. I cannot believe he made it out, considering how far back he was behind enemy line. That charge that went in, denied with the Bone Skewer, held in place for so long. He had no right to live through that.
Yeah, but he was so fortunate to be right in between both turrets, outside of both turrets. There's a Venn diagram of area where you just get crushed by both turrets. He was like in the antithesis of that, right outside both corners, and it bought so much time. And King Amazing, I think he felt it, right? We saw him flash over the wall.
He was feeling it.
And then got absolutely destroyed by Snickers MVP, which was pretty good. And I think he's living up to that name. Multiple ults there to get the resets and stop the push against DePaul. It really saved Marquette.
He's 4-3-3. He's the best stat line on the team.
He is, and if you look at the gold lead here, only 5,000 now, right? I think before everyone died on DePaul's side, the gold lead was probably around like 7,000 to 8,000. But then you get a massive reset on King Amazing because he had 1,000 bounty on him. And that one goes over to your Pike, who now can start making his own plays and start roaming around. Like Mike, he's almost there. Get him that Zeal item. He'll be in a good spot to start dishing out damage behind Joy and the chaos that Joy is creating. But now with Snickers being that vet, has an opportunity to really chunk down DePaul that's starting to play a little loose.
And Marquette's sort of done what they need to do so far. They kept the inhib alive. Can they continue? That is the big question. Pulling the Braum way back in deep. The Unbreakable Shield soaked a lot of damage, but here comes the initiation. The Cataclysm there. The hero then to the back, trying to kill the Lucian. Not able to do so. Great job from the Gallia looking for that peel. And forcing the flash out there as well. The taunt, the fall off the Gallia. The Winds of War is there to try and lock this one down. Diving underneath the Nexus turrets as well is like Mike, the GP ult, trying to keep them back as fast as he can, but it's not looking like it's going to be enough. The support went down, but there's still so much damage to rip through these Nexus turrets, and I don't think that is going to be enough on the defense. Can the Pike come back in and get this one done? I'm not sure. No, the shield to Duran. Not with the follow-up, and that is going to be GG. DePaul get it done. They take game number 1.
Yeah, what a play there, and what a several set of plays there by DePaul and Marquette, both playing to their win conditions, and DePaul turned it on at exactly when you're supposed to for a composition like that, when it's focused around a Lucian. I really like the way that both teams try to stave off, but you could see after that Baron play, you go back to the Dragon that Marquette opted into off of a solid, the mini micro play we called with the Rift Herald being dropped, then heading down to the Infernal Drake. That's when DePaul started getting far enough ahead away from Marquette's scaling that they were able to take the game in their own hands.
It was that 3-4 item spike for Lucian. It was right around that time where he was feeling solid, before the Syndra had really come online, before the Xayah was really feeling impactful. The Lucian was going off. It was actually the Pyke who was the one to step up and challenge him, and almost able to do so.
Yeah.
The Pyke play was absolutely stellar. There's a reason this champ was first pick. So super comfort pick there from Marquette. So got to give a lot of props for them. They looked comfortable all in all in that draft. It was just the pressure of DePaul, and I think what really set them back was that play around the Drake.
Yeah.
It was the mini macro, like you called it.
Yeah.
It was the fact that they fell into that trap a little bit. I think that was sort of like, okay, that's the opening DePaul needs to probably seal this one, but it was not clean by any stretch. That rough fight up towards the inhib in mid, that almost was DePaul's undoing.
Yeah, but what I like is that both teams understood what they needed to do,
Yes.
right? A lot of the times you get distracted by a fight that's right in front of you or a Drake you're not supposed to take, and I think that's what really doomed Marquette. But Marquette also understood at times, hey, look, we need to use ults to go backwards. We need to not get caught in a fight at these times. And so they were playing that scaling game. Good on DePaul to pick the proactive team composition and execute it for a victory in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't cut and dry. Marquette looked really solid, and I definitely think we have a chance of taking this to game 3 if they continue to play like that. But we had a lot of amazing moments in that last game. Returned is standing by to break down one of them for us. Which one did you choose, sir?
All right, guys, this is a hard-fought game between DePaul and Marquette, but I went with actually the final play of the game because it's really the first time in basically the back half of the game that DePaul were actually able to execute on their compositional strength. That is picking team fights. And if you were watching before, around the Barons, around the Dragons, it was always these glancing blows, but never something that finally put Marquette in the ground. But finally, when it came to this final base push, that is exactly what happened. And you can see right here that basically the goal of DePaul is to try to stack as many members on top of this backline right here. You're talking about stuff like the J4 diving in. You have the Braum that can ult on away, and then Gallios you can probably see up from top here. Oh, that's a hide menu. There we go. This guy, the bird's trying to get in here. You'll see him in a bit. But allowing this to run through now, as we do have this, you can see the fight starting up. The only thing you need to be watching is Reaper. If Reaper can find and engage onto the backline, it's the absolute end. Finds the opportunity when the vision out of the backline is actually turned away. So right here, the AD carry and whatnot, they're looking up at this fight, don't quite see the Jarvan jumping in, and that's the only play that actually matters at the end of this game. Once you get this lockdown and you can play it right through right now, you're going to see Big Bird Boy able to jump on in, Galio delivering the Justice Punch, and once the lines are shattered, it's it. There's no front line to fight behind. There is nothing to keep like Mike up and operating, and when an ADC can't hit, can't do damage, they're probably not really playing the game very well. So finally, DePaul took a while, but they came out on top at the end thanks to that fight. Back to you guys on the desk.
And this was exactly the combo we talked about from the draft. Thanks so much, Return, for breaking that one down for us, because it was a really hectic final fight there, but it was those two initiation tools. It was the J4 going in, finding the Cataclysm, separating the fight, and then it was the hero's entrance, knocking up the Hecarim that was trying to chase down your carry, and then it was all downhill from there. Kamcha able to split the fight up beautifully after that with the Galio. So I got to give all the props in the world to DePaul for that solid victory in game number 1. But it is only game number 1 in our best of 3, so we have more action coming up in just a second. But before we hop on to our break, be sure to head on over to ESL Collegiate on Twitter. That's where you can stay up to date with all of the action across all the conferences, all the great games going on here. So definitely want to head over and hit the follow on Twitter. And of course, later on in the show, we have our cast and chat shout out. So head on over to Discord to vote on that for next week. You want to get involved in that discussion. We're going to jump on to a short break. I need some water. I need to stay hydrated for these great games. And we'll be back with game number 2. Don't want to miss it. Hello and welcome back to the ESL Collegiate 2019 Preseason Invitational Big East. We are here with an amazing matchup of DePaul and Marquette. Game number 1 was a win for DePaul, but not the most cut and dried. Marquette showed a lot of spirit in that first game, but not quite able to pull off the win. The early mid-game composition of DePaul was just a little bit too much to handle. Their clear-cut initiation techniques were solid and well executed and allowed them to walk away with the win. But I have to give props to Marquette. They knew what their win conditions were. They played to them. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Inverum. Degon and Return are here as well on the desk, helping me bring you all the hype of this matchup.
Yeah, again, very surprised with how well Marquette played towards those conditions. And we see the record 2-1. We didn't get to see how they were able to win those 2 victories earlier in this preseason invitational. But they look like a team that now has a lot more cohesion, that has an identity on being able to play towards the team composition. Because a lot of the time you see teams just pick champs and that's all they do, and they try to make it work together. That was a clear concerted effort to get to the late game.
And one of the things where I'm going to talk about a little bit here, before we get too far into the action, of course, it is Eniki, the Good Luck Have Fun pledge in particular. You probably heard us talk about it a little bit on the broadcast so far, but the Good Luck Have Fun pledge, of course, taking a stand against online toxicity, trying to make the places where we live and game just a little bit more open, a little bit more friendly. We got a chance to sit down with some of the leaders in the world of esports entertainment, get their thoughts on Eniki and the Good Luck Have Fun pledge. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name is D1 Ala Mengret.
Hi, my name is Sue Lee. My handle is Smix.
My name is Jordan Gilbert, aka Nothing.
My name is Bill Carter. My handle is Jump.
My name is Christopher Michaels, better known as Monte Cristo.
Hey guys, I'm Michelle Morrow, and I'm on-camera talent for both esports and the world of entertainment.
I think it's important that people are made aware that their behavior is not acceptable if you're going to throw out bigoted terms or target somebody for that kind of harassment.
So dealing with toxicity, even just on a normal day-to-day basis, when I game, I just like to be sort of an anonymous gamer, and to this day, I am scared to use my mic.
I think that anytime you can sit someone down that has a negative mindset or has a sense of toxicity, think about who you're affecting.
If I had the ability to confront a troll face-to-face, they would not be the keyboard warrior that they are inside of the game.
The GLHF pledge is super important. Anything that's encouraging people to promote positivity, to promote understanding, to promote sympathy.
It's cool to see that people are going above and beyond to be a voice for those from a community that may not be as well represented in gaming. You do matter.
GLHF.
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 Good luck. Have fun.
Well, you heard it there. Good luck, have fun. That is the name of the game. Over 300,000 people have already signed the pledge. Goal is to hit 1 million signatures by the end of 2020. And, you know, hearing it from me, hearing it from them isn't enough for you. The universal Twitch badge is probably the last little push they need to get over the edge. Sign up. Who doesn't want a crazy, nice universal Twitch badge? Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. All right. Match number 2. Let's talk
Match
about
number
it.
2. Let's get into it.
Game number 2.
Game number 2. Let's get into it.
There we go.
Week
All
number
right.
2.
This is definitely the second one. So the draft we're going to be getting into here in just a second. But let's talk about the compositions from game number 1. We both sort of were like, or all of us in the desk were like, look, these make a lot of sense. I feel like one's a little bit easier to execute.
Right.
What do you think the changes are going to be here in game number 2? Are there any must-ban heroes that didn't make it through the ban phase last time?
I think Galio. Galio needs to start seeing his way out of the competition. It's a little bit too comfortable for DePaul just to playmate consistently. Because I think for Marquette, if you just eliminate that one extra tool that DePaul uses to end these games, like the Galio or the J4, they were doing a great job in the early game. I mean, I was actually going to do a bit of an analytical segment if they pulled off the win, but in the early game, they were forcing plays that prevented DePaul from actually setting up that whole wombo combo engagement, and as long as DePaul doesn't find that, they don't win the game, and it just came down to, you know, one little slip of the keyboard, one slip of the mouse at the end of the game that just told their fate.
Yeah, I would say for Marquette, maybe moving like Mike off of the Zaya. Zaya wasn't really, you weren't making plays early enough there. So I expect that Zaya will be a different AD carry for Marquette. I think, like Mike, played well, knew what his job was, but wasn't quite able to execute it to the level of it. And I don't think it's an execution thing. It felt like a comfort thing.
Yeah, I mean, also on top of that, when you have a what's the thing in the lane? The pike, there we go.
Yeah.
When you have a pike in the lane, you usually want to either have an ADC who's self-sufficient or a super kill lane. Against the Lucian Braum, you don't have a super kill lane. Zaya's not as safe enough to just play 1v2, so it did limit the ability to roam there.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Wow.
Very different lane this time.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a Vayne and an Echo. This is a complete about face.
Yeah, it is.
For DePaul. You've got some amazing hyper late game scaling with the Vayne, and you also have some crazy mid game kill potential out of the Echo. So excited to see that. Hecarim once again coming in. And the Kled is, we just really want to go fast.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be Ziggs. We just got word that the Kled pick here for Lee is Ziggs. So Lee flexing a different mage in the mid lane. There we go.
All right, there we go. Look, lots of poke, lots of pressure. I don't mind that.
Yeah, and so kill lane on the bottom side of the map, kind of like the fact that, like Mike and Snickers saying, hey, look, you know what? You guys were able to get a lead and, you know, get something going with King and Mason. You want to play the Vayne on the bottom side of the map. We take your challenge here. But let's see what this final pick here for DePaul will be. I'll definitely shape on where Echo will probably be going. The support, no, it's going to be Lissandra in the mid lane.
Okay, and I also have to really agree with the Ezreal selection here from Marquette. Most because now that you have like a 2v1 style of ADC, you finally let Snickers make those plays across the map. I think that's really what was missing from Marquette to even like put the early game down further. But now that you have the mobility, you're looking at a lot more options as you can find your way around the map.
Right. What do you think of this decision? Like the Cassio, she was still available during this phase, going for the Lissandra instead. We know how dominant Kamcha can be on that pickup. What do you think the decision to go with Lissandra instead? A little more utility for these team fights.
Yeah, that's mainly because you're playing through the Vayne. You want to make sure that Vayne is the one that your focus point is about. So you're holding down one target to let Vayne either burst down that target or burst down around that target. So it's a lot more control there for Kamcha. Very much the same thing that he does when he's playing Galio.
Yeah, and I'm going to let you in a little secret right here with the DePaul game plan for mid lane. You just take the keyboard, you just press R. That's the game plan. That is exactly what Kamcha wants to do. Couldn't get Galio, Lissandra ultimate, press R, Ezreal Ziggs ain't going anywhere, and it feels like DePaul really love to play around a mid laner who can facilitate those engages with a simple press of a button.
Yeah, and same kind of concept here for Marquette as they had to deal with last time with DePaul. Keep your distance, right? If the distance gets closed, that's where the damage starts coming on in, and now especially with Lissandra targeting one person, that's even putting Marquette even further behind because you have to buy a QSS, so it gets a little bit later for you to get the items. It's just a snowball effect whenever you pick a champion like that.
Sam Morgana brought in to round out the bot lane matchup here for DePaul. Morgana Vayne, that's going to be interesting, to say the very least. The bindings are going to have to be on point in order to make sure you keep that Vayne safe.
Yeah, I just want to point out that we could still be flexing around just a bit. Could be Echo on the top side of the map. It could be Echo in the jungle. Could be Vayne on the top side of the map. So you don't know what this final pick could be going through. What you do know is that Morgana's probably going support.
Right.
Yep.
And Lissandra's probably going mid. Those are the two that you're
so far
confident about here. Unless King Amazing is nuts and can play like Lissandra bot and you have like Morgana, Lissandra, Vayne.
I've seen crazier things. I've seen the meta in Season 9. It's all over the place. But definitely agree. Interesting to see here. For some reason, I don't know if they actually play it. Well, the Vladimir, of course, sticks out for me from... Actually, that was Marquette, so DePaul, you've got options. Garen, if they just want a good matchup into the Akali, but... You know, it is going to be interesting because you have a permanent shoving lane for Marquette in the mid lane, so you're hopefully finding some point of pressure. You might actually be on something, Degon.
Am I a genius?
Potentially.
I'm not a genius.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of tank happening on the side of DePaul right now. I'd almost... Renekton, Ornn,
Okay.
was what I would... Yeah. I needed something a little more beefy in the top lane.
He's got like he's got a bladed weapon and he spins, so it's pretty much Garen, but...
Yeah. Yeah.
If Garen was an alligator...
Yeah.
He's Crocs. It's all good.
But either way. So Renekton up at the top side of the map. Renekton, the second most banned away champion at Worlds, behind, of course, Pantheon, which also was taken away in this draft. And I think DePaul then rounded out relatively well. You got a lot of aggression on the top side of the map. At level 6, Kamcha can help out anyone, as well as on the bottom side of the map. There'll be a lot of potential here for DePaul in different lanes. It's kind of pretty clear which way they want to go.
Yeah, sorry. As Lissandra doesn't really have that much carry potential on her own, it is really going to be on the duo of Kamcha and Reaper to help out maybe soon to get them over that line to hopefully, the Vayne rises up over the horizon eventually for DePaul. But, it's going to be really, really scary because Marquette has so many tools to push out these lanes and control these plays.
Yeah, especially with the Gragas.
Both teams have kill potential. I think that's what I love. Both of these teams have the ability to go in and get it done. Which now when we come down to this segment where I talk about predictions, makes that a little bit harder here. I'm going to give it to DePaul. I like the fact that they have a little more late game should they go. They have the Renekton as well as more of a bridge champ from the mid to late game. He's also such a threat. If he can get into the back line, he can split the fight beautifully. You can kite for your Vayne, have the Lissandra set up that pick while Renekton locks down the back line. And the fact that they walked away with the winning game number 1, they stayed strong. I'm going to go with DePaul, but this one's not as clear-cut as it may appear.
Yeah, I think the same here for me. DePaul, when you counterpicked the winning potential lane that you had on the bottom side of the map with Morgana, counterpicking the Thresh, I kind of like that little play there and allowing Vayne to get to the late game. And it feels like Echo can go wherever he wants, and there's always a solid matchup there.
The heart for me says Marquette. I like the composition a little bit more. I'm never really always trusting of the Renekton, especially in the collegiate amateur scene. Whenever I see it, I'm like, oh, he's going to win for 5 minutes. Not a fact rest of the game, but after that early performance last game, I think the mind does have to say DePaul, especially with the ability to deny a lot of plays from Lissandra. You have the Morgana, and then you have the late game scaling tool in Vayne. And I think with the performance they showed in game 1, they got my vote.
All right. Well, we're in agreement once again here on the desk. DePaul, we're predicting they'll walk away with a 2-0 victory, but Marquette showed that if they know what they need to do to win and they can execute it just a little bit better this time, they may give DePaul a run for their money. We're going to get into game number 2 and see if DePaul can walk away with a clean 2-0 victory or if Marquette will bring us to game number 3.
All right, well, DePaul trying to take a 2-0 and bounce back to school from Chicago. Trying to get things back on track, back in a winning overall win percentage, sitting at 1-1. Marquette still building off of last season, 2-1 right now. They fall to the perennial semifinalists in the form of DePaul. Not the worst thing in the world, but here's an opportunity for them to step up and see if they can play their composition better than the opposite team. I think a lot of guys just go in and try to win lane, win game. In this case, Marquette, they want to scale yet again. Ziggs late game, just infinite wave clear.
Yeah.
Kali can assassinate almost anybody on the opposite side if she gets ahead, and you facilitate in the form of Joy. And I talked about it during the game before. Joy had a really good early game. The counter ganks on the bottom side of the map when Reaper was there, and catching out, almost like out-ganking Reaper. I wouldn't say he out-jungled Reaper, but out-ganking Reaper showed well, but then he fell off later on the Hecarim. Let's see how he does with Gragas. Gragas will always have a place in fights with the explosive cask.
That's exactly the point I was going to make, because Gragas is always relevant. Your ability to split a fight in half, knock everybody back, reset the shape of a fight is always going to be valuable. And I agree, I actually think his pathing on the ganks was superior. We saw him do a full wrap in the bot lane, all the way through the opponent's tribe rush and walk in to try and line up a kill. Didn't end up quite securing it, but that wasn't necessarily his fault. His thought process when it came to these ganks was correct. And we'll see if having a champ like the Gragas, who's definitely equipped to walk away with kills, is going to be a little bit better for him to secure them in this game.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the focuses here on the bottom side of the map. Can Snickers land the hooks needed, make the plays needed to push this Vayne behind? King Amazing had himself a pretty solid game number 1 and showing why he is more than capable of filling the boots left behind by the long-standing member of this DePaul roster, Boris. And maybe soon also playing the aggressive champ yet again in the matchup. Wins wanted to scale on the GP. This time wants to scale on the Akali, a little bit more of a technical champion, but with the Twilight Shroud, a lot to play through against this Renekton.
Yeah, the Akali she's going to have even a little bit more of an impact in the mid game. Obviously, the GP having the global is going to be useful in order to try and impact these fights a little bit without even necessarily leaving your lane. But the Akali is still going to offer a little bit more in the mid game. Her damage will start to ramp up.
Now, one Ziggs game here for Lee this season. Pretty solid KD 8-6. Just one of those champs that everyone played when he came out. Everyone kind of knows what he does. He was kind of dishing out a lot of damage back in Season 5, Season 6. It was kind of the stall meta, where you just kind of stalled in the mid-game and you waited for your juggernauts on the top side of the map. That was Mundo, Shyvana, and Renekton.
Oh, boy.
Those were the days.
You've played a good number of Dr. Mundo.
I am a Mundo connoisseur.
Yes.
If I could be a doctor based off of how much Dr. Mundo I played,
I feel like that's how it works.
I would be a doctor very quickly.
Excellent. What would your degree be in?
Ganking! Oh, Reaper.
No, definitely not.
It would be, I don't know, what was something I did? Frustrating the opponent. Mundo is just there to just frustrate someone else, and Renekton's there to make sure you get the first blood. Many a time that I died to an aggressive Renekton in the top side of the map.
Yeah, and Renekton, he's so frustrating to deal with. He just gets the dominance going, and he's just this whirlwind, the slice and dice of these team fights. The second you sort of think, okay, he's fine, he's not doing too, oh no! And it's sort of one of those situations where the second you sleep on him in one of these fights, he'll just rip through your backline. And he's really going to be trying to look to separate things with the help of the Lissandra as well. And then just creating so much space for King Amazing to do, well, exactly what he did in the last game, this time just on a Vayne.
Yeah, one of the biggest beneficiaries from Spear of Sojin being inserted in the game.
Yes.
It's on the top side, the shove coming through by Wins, and maybe soon just forced to CS under turret. Take a look at the CS discrepancies. Not too big, only a 3 CS lead, and the wave close to maybe soon's lane is, here we go, Snickers. Gonna wait this one out. There it goes, Hook forcing the flash, but here comes
TP.
2 TPs, and Joy's on the wrong side of the map.
Here we go, 1 TP coming in from the side of Marquette, 2 for the side of DePaul, and we are seeing a lot of damage going on through, but the double kill now for the Vayne through all of this. Gonna try and continue to get the pressure. Lots of damage down onto the opposing team's Akali, but it is still no members dead for DePaul. The double commit on the TP, the shot calling on that was absolutely stellar. Everybody here now, everyone get in here.
Yeah, I'd love to see that one more time because it was a nice setup there by Snickers to start off the gank with the Dark Passage, but then Joy just went a belly slam a bit too far.
Yes.
He tried to body slam into the back line after the flash had already been committed by Hunky Hank and after they had seen double TPs coming down. And so that doomed him and then forced the back line into a very difficult 2v3 as we see it one more time here.
This was the game of chicken with the Black Shield. Forced out a little bit early, and then flash, immediate. The second they committed, the second they went a little bit too far forward, all the TPs came through.
Yeah, and this TP came in a little too late from the Akali, and Morgana and Ezreal just stuck in a tough spot already. That gives 2 kills over to King Amazing. We've seen him play already. We know what he can do with the lead, and this is tough stuff there for Marquette. Remember, they're the ones that started that gank.
And giving the Vayne 2 kills early already at this stage of the game. You're just continuing, or I should say starting to get that snowball just rolling on down the hill. Already up in CS, already having these 2 kills. This is going to be a bit of a tough battle. Marquette need to shut this lane down. Again, an optimistic finding coming out there. If Hunky Hank can start to land those, they can absolutely start to line up these kills.
Yeah, and I like the idea from Marquette. The Marquette bot lane, they ran down bot, they tried to shove on in, prevent DePaul from recalling, and they did so, but it costed them half their health. And so King Amazing, who doesn't have an item and sitting on a ton of gold right now, still sitting with his starting items, it's like, oh no, we're far behind. But in actuality, they might be able to catch a fight. One of these lands, and now King Amazing with the HP advantage. Oh, nice hook there by Snickers to keep his man alive. And King Amazing might not be so amazing. One more is going to work there. And so it's a trade 1-for-1. Big hook by Snickers to shut it down, but it's another kill onto the Vayne.
The death sentence being just that, and you can see the moment of realization from the Vayne playing like, oh, I'm gonna die no matter what. All right, I might as well get this kill. But still, the shutdown going over to the Ezreal, that was absolutely massive, securing that. And what looked like a great opening there off the back of the binding from DePaul ended up turning right on its head, the Thresh outplaying in that situation.
Yeah, and King Amazing trying to dodge away from it, tumble away from it, and you see a lot of Vaynes count themselves in that, but that was, I wouldn't call that one Vayne spotting. A lot of times you Vayne spotting when they just tumble right into it. That was a good hook by Snickers to land that one. And again, you're not too worried about this Ezreal scaling as much as you're worried about your own scaling. So you'll take that 1-for-1. 3 kills in the first buy there for King Amazing. You take a look at it. This is why Vayne was getting taken away earlier. A lot of games on it. Has a
60% win rate. That is monstrous.
He has a very Vayne-like KDA in the 2.87. It's either we win hard or we lose hard, but either way, I'm going to die a lot. But because of that 60% win percentage, it's pretty impressive out of 87 games.
Yeah, that is really solid. 60% in anything more than 20 games is really substantial. So got to give a lot of props to the play from King Amazing, showing his consistency. And now Kamcha in the mid, looking to try and get something going here on Delete. Echo is not far behind. So see if they continue to put the pressure onto that mid laner there. And the utility of the Lissandra is ultimate we talk about with this Glacial Prison, but on the same side of things, well, she can also do some damage in her own right.
Yeah, she can. Not quite there yet. Still working towards it. But here we go, gank number 2. Nice. Let's push away there by Vayne, but not quite done yet. Hunky Hank gets chunked, but Joy's very low. Hunky Hank will ignite, but the kill gets traded on over. Supports picking this one up, and just a 1-for-1 in a 3 versus 2 gank. King Amazing might not have enough mana for a tumble. And here comes Like Mike, very low. King Amazing giving that one back. And Snickers MVP has been the most impressive player for Marquette throughout 2 games.
No questions asked. The perfect read on that, identifying, look, my opponent doesn't have any mana to deal with this. The question is, are they stepping too far forward?
That's the wrong time to taunt, Snickers.
Echo is joining the party. The Flay to try and get him on out of the heal as well. They're coming in, but Like Mike actually will do a lot of damage right here, trying to go on in. Nice dodge, though. Bring him back in with the death sentence. Reaper trying to get the kill in his own right. Goes back through with the counter break. Can they get the kill? But no, Reaper unable to get it done. And beautiful play once again from Snickers to keep his team alive.
Yeah, calculated, of course.
Yes.
Snickers. Now is the perfect time to taunt as you know you're away. And good attempt there by Reaper to get the pickup kill. Just didn't quite have the damage. Now goes back and finishes his completed jungle item. That would have helped just a bit earlier.
It would have, and also note, it's definitely Frozen Tomb, not Glacial Prison. They are basically the same thing. Like if you take the 2 words, they are synonyms in every way, but definitely not a Sejuani in the mid lane.
No, it's not. As Hunky Hank now taking lane control, and I think you gotta settle in a little bit now if you're King Amazing. Now, you had the fun early game that Vaynes rarely get to enjoy and experience. And make sure you continue scaling. Pick the right fights. Snickers has been constantly landing these hooks, leading to death here with the Black Shield.
Wow.
That's when you go for
There you go.
Now you wait for the Black Shield cool off for another 18 seconds, I believe, is the cooldown for that one without any CDR as Lee now getting stunned
Here we
up.
go. And this is the combo they've been looking to execute. The follow-up CC is there. Press R, win game. Kamcha, you're doing it, buddy!
Yeah, parallel convergence right on top of him. And it stinks because Lee used his flash to try and get outside of it, wasn't quite able to. And mid laner from Marquette taking the first L there. And as Return said, Kamcha did it. He just pressed R and the enemy was dead. How about that?
How about, I mean, that's like the best situation to be in. All I have to do is press, what you're saying, I just have to press 1 button? That's amazing. Hunky Hank, though, saying we're going to press a few more buttons right on top of you here. Dark Passage to try and get right on out, but not going to be having it. The True Shot Barrage damage was there, but Hunky Hank baiting them right on in. Not even having to burn the heal there for DePaul as well. This is creating a great opportunity for DePaul to continue and leverage this lead ahead in gold, now trying to take this Drake while simultaneously keeping up the pressure in mid and bot.
I love this.
And tops.
And top. Didn't quite catch that one earlier as Wins now goes down for his first death. But I love the supports and the way that they've been playing in this game. Honky Hank and Snickers both really embodying what a support is. You're carrying your AD carry that wants to fight and do all these crazy things as King Amazing. Hunky Hank wasn't there, wasn't able to save him, and now Joy in a little bit of trouble. Old coming on in, flash away. Hunky Hank almost survives, but it's a double kill here for Joy. Should be going down in just a second to Reaper. Yes, he does, and now Snickers might have bought off a little bit more that he could chew. Like Mike, able to dodge this one out, and Snickers will survive and keep that perfect KDA 100% kill participation intact.
That's what they're looking to just continue that pressure. A bit of a scrappy fight, though, in the mid. 5 kills to 8, so not a blowout by any stretch here for DePaul. And Lee, ooh.
That's scary.
Right on the edge. A little scary. There was a croc on the loose. Sewer Gator.
Yeah, and Frozen Tomb was up yet again. Would have been a nice little chomp down dinner there for maybe soon in that mid lane. Reaper now still nearby, but Snickers will show. Think about roaming on through and letting everyone know how good he is.
He really likes those taunts. Just saying.
You gotta earn those taunts as we see how this all transpired. Play backwards, it's magic damage, so it gets rid of the black shield, and Amazing goes down. Snickers stays alive for a little bit longer, and Joy so close to making something happen. Look at Hunky Hank almost able to get away from the barrel, not quite able to. And then Joy getting taken down by Reaper. This one was close here as well, but Snickers just able to walk himself back to safety.
A lot of very small mechanical interactions there that ended up resulting in those kills, but none of them were, you know, guaranteed. None of them were certain by any stretch. It was these small mechanical plays that ended up doing a lot there. And actually just proxying the wave right now up top is this Renekton feeling so comfortable. He's just going to creep cut at this stage, which is actually hilarious because the Akali can do nothing about this at this point. So this top turret, not long for this world. Turret plating has fallen. So at least it's not going to be continuing to leverage the gold lead in a truly massive way, but getting that first turret gold is always nice.
Yeah, nice.
Here we go.
Backwards. The black shield coming out just a bit late. King Amazing very low. One more auto attack will do it. Yes, it does. Joy gets
late
bound
black
up.
shield from Hunky Hank.
Yeah, not quite done yet. There it is, body slam flash, and Ezreal picking up 2 more. While we're in the break, also, Snickers apparently died, so no more perfect KDA for him, but nice little bounce back here by the Golden Eagles of Marquette. The Rift Herald was taken, but no one picked up the eye.
Do that thing. Do it.
The eye.
Pick it up. Somebody pick it up.
The pitch is getting higher. It's leaving us. No, doesn't look like anyone's gonna pick that one up.
And that's you're just leaving a turret on the table with that one. That's just a strict misplay.
What? How? What?
Turrets on tables, man. Turrets on tables. Mid lane, win game. Here we go. Wow. Okay. 6 damage actually huge, but that's
one more.
Oh no. Ah!
Look at Wins. Wins was trying to steal that one away. Lee's like,
Kill secured?
I just got sandwiched and squished here, and you tried to steal my kill away. I'd be so upset.
Oh, absolutely. I would be just really sad.
Run away, Joy.
Maybe soon. Maybe soon. Okay. Well, that's the stun and that's the kill, and slicing and dicing all day long. This Renekton showing why he is one of the most highly engaged heroes, or champions in the worlds. Oh boy. All right.
Yeah, Wins was able to outplay that one and get himself out to safety, but nice rotation by Maybe Soon to get to the bottom side of the map and pick up another kill here. And this Renekton is going to become a problem as the game gets later and later through his split pushing prowess. Again, kind of functioning how DePaul's Lucian functioned last game. Like Lucian, again, hitting that mid to late game spike around 30 minutes, a split pushing fiend. And right now we just saw it, Wins does not win this split pushing trade. You don't have something to answer that. So as Marquette, you guys have to be the one to get to an objective first and force a team fight without solid means of engage every single time. Joy has the cast.
Yes.
You got the hook from Snickers, but again, Hunky Hank's job, put the black shield on whoever's getting engaged upon and stop that so that Maybe Soon can continue to split push.
And we got to be careful too that there's no potential counter synergy with the Death Sentence and the explosive cast, because we can see somebody get pulled out of position and then the cast knocks him somewhere else. We can see a lot of potential counter synergy opportunities from Marquette. So they need to make sure their communication is 100% on point when they do go to look for these fights. The Ezreal, like Mike, I feel like he's doing a lot better than we did feel on the Xayah in that last game. Definitely feeling already a lot more impactful, and already the damage is going to start to ramp. And having that a little bit of additional mobility, I think, is going a long way.
Yeah, and I think you look back at the laning phase for Marquette. He might want a couple of those back, a couple of those deaths back. However, picking up the big double kill here and taking advantage of King Amazing's aggressive positioning. You're more than happy to take a couple kills here as, almost gets stolen away. Nice attempt there by Mike, but not able to drain the J from distance. And so now Snickers will rotate across the mid lane and try to defend against this DePaul team that picked up the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, 2 Drakes now going the way of DePaul, having pretty much full control over the river at this point, wanting to look towards this mid turret next. Having that Rift Herald has gone a long way as the fight is breaking out. Now this 2-1 situation, the Renekton getting knocked back additionally by Joy. picking up that buff as well, so able to stymie
no.
the push there, but here we go.
Click on the lantern, click on the lantern, click on the lantern. Oh, he's not able to click on the lantern, and now the ult does come through from Ziggs. Lee's still alive, but not for much longer. Hunky Hank trades his life there. You hate that when you're an AD carry. You're like, I just want this thing. I don't want to auto-attack you.
Feels bad, man. Not the most ideal situation trading out, but of course DePaul is more than happy to make that happen. Hunky Hank going in, trading out for the mid laner. The support will do that all day long. And a 3K gold lead, plus a little more for DePaul as they really want to take down this mid turret. But going on in, Destin is into the flay, but the Lissandra is going to be joining on in. Maybe something a little bit too far forward. The flash from Snickers in the mid, going back underneath the turret, but now the Grog is coming in from the flank. The Akali is here as well. Comps need to steer this step a little bit too far forward. Choose drop rods, try to flutter them up, and can they make this happen? No. DePaul is going to be able to walk on out.
Yeah, DePaul getting themselves out of that engage. Another solid hook by Snickers, but it gets turned around. King Amazing popping the final hour ultimate, and it forced a flash and a heal out of the opposite bot lane. And that's the threat when you're playing against a Vayne, especially giving up those kills early. You don't get the same kind of respect if you're Ezreal getting hooked by the Thresh if it was the sides were reversed there. And so King Amazing able to get himself to safety after that whole engage.
Fun fact, King Amazing claims that Vayne is his favorite champion to play. And taking a look at the amount of games he's played this season in Grandmaster with a 60% win rate, yeah, I would say that he's, not only is it a fun champ for him to play, but it's fun for all DePaul to get to watch him go off in this game.
Yeah, that's the idea here. However, maybe soon will also be a threat as the team moves closer and closer towards that late game. Taking it in the mid lane as well. Kamcha doing exactly what we thought. Be that consistent presence. Hasn't given up a death yet.
Nope.
Leading the game in CS. And that's what you need if you're DePaul, that constant presence while you're dealing with a top laner that could lose his very aggressive matchup, and the bot laner that is going to continually scale.
The scaling of Vayne is one of the greatest in the game, and we're just continuing to see sort of this 4-1 type pressure coming out right now as the Renekton is going to have a Joy split push, and the Akali just can't really do a whole lot at this stage to deny. Just the outright walk-up stun, go do damage from the Renekton is just very tough to deal with. So we'll see how the flank potentially does end up coming out here. If Binding from Morgana can land, take a look from this Renekton on the flank to go in and find the dive. That is going to be the big mark here on this mid lane if they can pull off that combo, continuing also to put pressure on in the top lane as well. DePaul just continuously rotating, continuously exercising their will on Marquette.
Yeah, and it's pretty tough here for Marquette. You're still looking for the pick here. You're not out of striking distance yet. That's a good way to get a pick there on the Reaper, waiting on top of the ward. And now Joy might have bit off more than he could chew. TP coming on in, click on the lantern, not quite able to. And easy pick up there for DePaul, and they can turn their sight onto Baron pretty early, but they do have a Mountain Drake.
So this is going to go down a little bit faster here, but that pick just felt really calculated. Standing perfectly still. Reaper's like, hey guys, I'm right here. Come and get me. And falling forward a little bit. We'll see if Marquette's going to be able to rally. They kind of need to take this fight to Baron at this point. Would be pretty disastrous. Maybe soon going and taking a lot of damage, though. Doing a little bit onto Snickers.
Oh.
That's not the ideal target. True Shot Barrage does come in to try and shut this one down.
Fight?
We see the kill going on through, and Baron did end up getting picked up by DePaul during all this, but can they survive the fight?
Yeah, Hunky Hank, the last one alive, able to pick one up there. Kamcha will survive, but it was 4 for that one in a 4v5. Marquette able to at least lessen the blow of losing Baron, just Kamcha with it. And I think maybe Soon thought he was stronger than what he was. And that's the thing with a lot of Renektons. You have a lot of kill pressure, but you don't have a lot of survivability. He goes on in and gets absolutely chunked by both Lee and Like Mike. The ult hits 3 members there. And then King Amazing has nowhere to go. His whole front line gets taken out, and he can't even make a play because it's another fantastic hook by Snickers. Kamcha does get away with the buff.
That hook was massive because Vayne was about to go absolutely off there in the pit, shred through everybody. But I think the big thing here is Like Mike is actually starting to hit hard. That True Shot Barrage chunked in the pit. And as you said, the Renekton went in, did a little spin on Akali, and nothing happened.
Yeah, that feels bad. Again,
that feels really bad. Like, wait, what? Hang on.
You want to see if you can assassinate somebody, but not quite able to. And now, with Baron, DePaul will get to the spot first. Will they be able to pick it up? Yes, they will. Bombs coming on in, barrels coming in. They threw everything but the kitchen sink. Marquette not able to steal that one away, and DePaul now will rotate back to the mid lane using Kamcha's Baron empowered approach here in just a second. Another hook finally goes wide by Snickers. He's done a solid job so far.
Snickers with hooks, real scary. I don't care if it's a bone skewer. I don't care if it's a death sentence. Next, I just need to see like a dredge line. You know, that's probably the next one up, and these popular supports right now.
Rocket grab.
Yeah, of course. And I just love the fact that he's so conscious of who he needs to shut down, not only in setting up the fights, but also once the fights start and it's chaos, he's like, look, I just need to disrupt X and Y key members of the opposing team, and we're going to win. In this case, it's the Vayne, it's the Echo, it's the Renekton. He finds a key hook onto one of those, and it's really tough for DePaul to win that fight.
Yeah, so DePaul need to continue to be careful and play around this Thresh. Also use the power of Baron. But Kamcha's gone top, so DePaul's decided to send Kamcha to the top side of the map, maybe soon to the bottom side, and then you've got the duo of the bot lane in the mid lane, so interesting lane setups here. Ezreal, not the greatest wave clear, so you can see what the heck.
They're scared of the Thresh? That ain't right.
Yeah, Reaper just kind of walked away there as Snickers rotated on in, trying to find himself a pick, and with no wave clear in the mid lane, easy pick up here for DePaul.
That one remaining Baron carrier able to help secure that one. The Vayne finally stepping on up to take down that mid turret, which has been a thorn in the side of DePaul for the last 10-ish minutes. Not able to, or not thinking to pick up the Rift Herald, I think really slowed that one down. It's down in the bottom lane, maybe soon, more like absolutely now when he will be viewing the gray screen. 3 members of Marquette are here to shut that one down. Just a straight overextension.
Yeah, but here we go in the mid lane, like Mike biting off more than you can chew. As soon as you splash forward, you're in a lot of trouble. And King Amazing says, thank you for the shutdown, my man. Not sure why you gave that to me, but I accept. And we just saw DePaul overstep their boundaries in the form of maybe soon pushing while the lane didn't have pressure. In this case, like Mike, shifting forward. Mad disrespect, especially into a Vayne. The team wasn't there to help punish, but now Reaper going on in saying, it's go time. We still have our carry alive. Now Reaper has the ultimate, gets himself back up to safety. A little bit of a scuffle in the mid lane between both squads. But again, both teams need to get on the same page, when to pressure and when to back off.
Interesting to note here, Gragas is still going to have the ult for this next fight. Didn't actually end up blowing it there, forcing Reaper to commit everything. Zig's ult did come through, but I think all in all, DePaul didn't even necessarily trade positive there. Chasing down Marquette is not the answer. They need to find a flank. They need to find a better initiation than just go and face.
Yeah. So right here, as the game's slowing down, we have an update with Butler versus Providence. We take a look at one of the other matches going on in the Big East Preseason Invitational. And Butler able to finally pick up their first victory.
There you are.
Got a lot of these former players. I think it's 4 former guys here returning for Butler. Mac moving out of the mid lane down to the bottom side of the map as the bot lane are making way for Ice Bear. They're able to get off the schneid and find themselves their first victory of the season.
2-0 win. Good job there for them, walking away with the victory, because of course there are multiple games going on simultaneously across the entirety of the Big East. Teams going toe-to-toe across the board. We just get to witness DePaul and Marquette, and I have to say, 15 kills to 14, only a 5K gold difference. This is definitely the match I want to see, because it is oh so close. Gone are the days of DePaul dominance in a lot of these matchups. The rest of the competition seems to have caught up.
Yeah, again, Marquette not rolling over like a doormat. Still a solid gold lead here by DePaul. It is their game to control right now, but we know that given the kill score, Marquette is not afraid to rumble, and we've seen Snickers try his best to corral like Mike into the right positions. And everybody. And there's another hook, this time onto Reaper, forcing the ult out early, and Reaper's able to get away, and that's a major fighting tool that DePaul will not have for the next 2 minutes.
So this is just more time that DePaul just can't pick a fight. This is huge, because the scaling now coming in from the Ezreal, from the Akali, these are going to continue to ramp. Of course, on the other side, you still do have King Amazing, you still do have the Echo, but maybe soon is going to start to fall off. Kamcha is going to start to fall off. So I think maybe Marquette's just saying, look, that's fine. We'll just play this out slow, play this out smart, or maybe we'll just go for a Baron. We're just going to go all in at this stage. We know we have enough damage to get this done. Renekton's in the bot. They know they have an opportunity here. What can DePaul do about this? Here comes the TV. They're going to go on in, very smartly backing up. Can they make this one happen, Degon?
Yeah, maybe the parallel convergence won't hit onto anybody, but now DePaul assumed position here at Baron that has already been
I don't know.
Remember, they have Mountain, so it is going pretty fast. It looks like Marquette's not quite all on the same page. There's a team fight, maybe soon now. Immediately bursting down Snickers. BCD wins, still alive, and he'll back on up. The Baron has fully recharged, and both junglers still alive, but Wynn's able to assassinate maybe soon. King Amazing, one more tumble, that should do it. On the top side of the map, though, there goes the Morgana, and a big fight now coming out. Reaper still going on in. King Amazing still untouched, and so far it has been a 2-for-2. Mid and bot, 2-for-3, mid and bot still alive for Marquette, but DePaul no longer have the tools to do Baron. A nice little skirmish back and forth there.
The Baron bait is real. Both teams thinking they have an opportunity to take it. Marquette smartly backing up, and DePaul's like, okay, we'll take this over. Marquette's like, really? Are you sure? DePaul's like, I think so. And they're like, okay, all right, just, we'll do it.
That was a great reenactment. If that was a conversation between two kind people.
That's exactly how it went. Bloodying the noses of both teams here over that Baron. Nobody walking away scot-free. DePaul slightly more victorious in that matchup, able to continue to split push and exert the pressure here on the Rift, but nobody in a super commanding position in either side. And King Amazing, he needs to continue to scale. He's got the QSS now. It's going to offer him a little bit more in terms of survivability in these fights, but he just needs to get more items.
Yeah, rapid fire cannon. He goes back to buy something. He sold Dorans, and he's able to get Hex Drinker to deal with the upfront burst damage that both Akali and Gragas and Ziggs provide here. It's one of the issues here with Marquette's team composition. It's a lot of burst damage, very much like their whole team composition from game number 1. And a little bit more consistent damage coming out of the AD carry role. Like Mike did a good job in that last one as DePaul take this Drake and now have 3 Cloud Drakes. They're bouncing around everywhere. But at DePaul, I like what they did there. They assumed the position of taking the Baron and then tried to bait it back out against Marquette. Almost got a catch there, but weren't quite able to get a decisive team fight victory. Big play by Wins on the bottom side of that team fight to get the Renekton out and start to show, hey, look, you might not be able to win this 1v1 anymore. Both guys still on the bottom side of the map. Both, actually, Wins has TP, so I think Marquette has an opportunity to set something up here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the TP come in for maybe soon to start off that last fight, but the Akali is now reaching the stage where what was a solo for the Renekton is now, well, no longer that. The Akali is starting to hit the power spike here coming towards the mid to late game. And now the split pushing role has been taken up by Kamcha, who does have TP. Very heads up decision from DePaul, making sure that whoever has the TP is the one who is going to be on the flank. Is now 4 members of Marquette are here. Akali's going to be trying to join in the fray as well.
Echo and Morgana late to the party. But look at this, Kamcha's gonna sit and wait. He's outside of turret range. Now he realizes he has time, and here comes the full TP. Marquette need to be ready for this team fight. Wins in a lot of trouble. Soon getting hooked, but hooked right on in. And now Snickers will fall. No one's hitting with Like Mike, and Like Mike is like in trouble right now as Bane rolling on forward. Lee, the last one up here by his lonesome. He gets taken down by the Croc. Like Mike, will he live? Oh, there's the ulti. No. Kamcha didn't use it the whole fight, and it's a clean ace here for DePaul.
We need to watch that back, and we need to watch Reaper, who soloed at Akali to start that fight, who went into the back line, executed everybody. We don't even have a chance because this game might just be over. But it was Reaper who stepped up at the end to help DePaul walk away with the victory, and a victory it will be. 2-0. What a solid Baron fight from them, knowing exactly how they needed to execute the hopes and dreams of Marquette. A swift 2-0 victory for DePaul. Marquette, so many points in that series. They look solid. So many points. They look like they could contend. They could take down DePaul, but it just wasn't quite meant to be.
No, and I think the biggest takeaway from this is Kamcha is showing he's able to play more than Galio. This DePaul squad, again, we talked about it in their victory against Villanova, looks like they have themselves an identity to play around and multiple identities to play around here. Now on the bottom side of the map, you're getting a lot out of your new AD carry, King Amazing.
Yes.
He's shown that he can play the hard carries, he can play the early game carries, and you're liking the fact that him and Hunky Hank, one of the returning members of DePaul, are building that synergy, and he's been a focal point. point. There are times where he gets caught out. Unfortunately, Marquette not in a position to punish, to take control of the game. But when they're on the front foot and you need a guy to step up to win you a team fight, he's done a solid job.
He has. I also love the fact that multiple members have stepped up. Reaper, like I mentioned in that last fight, able to go in from the top. The Renekton able to do solid in the early game, do a good job split pushing, and then step back, let other people take over in terms of scaling. But I have to give all the props in the world to Snickers MVP, the support player from Marquette who looked so amazing in Game 1 and Game 2. A lot of the reason these games were so close in terms of kills were because his hooks were on point. In Game 1 with the Bone Skewer, in Game 2 with the Death Sentence, Snickers went off. So I got to give a lot of props to him. Excited to see what he can continue to do in the future.
Yeah, this Marquette squad, last season, not as competitive as they are now. I think you look back at these games, and that game number 1, and you look back at that one Drake play, taking it a little bit early, getting caught out and being like, yeah, we really want this Infernal. It wasn't theirs to pick in the first place. Here in game number 2, it was very, very scrappy back and forth. I think you want a couple of those team fights on the bottom side of the map back a little bit more. A late TP from the Akali really gave the control of the game to DePaul, and they never really relinquished it. A little back and forth, a little scrappy, not the cleanest, but it was DePaul's game to lose from that point forward. But Marquette still have a lot of things to build upon.
Yeah, I definitely think that already from a foundation standpoint, they're looking so much more solid than they did last season. So I got to give a lot of props to Marquette for showing growth going into this preseason invitational. Returned is standing by to help break down that final fight, those final plays where DePaul just busted the game wide open.
Thanks, guys. And like you said, it's a hard-fought victory for DePaul, but we're going to look at how Marquette just barely gave away the game right at the end. It gives you guys a little bit of split-pushing 101 in the process. So here we go, setting the scene, that final Baron of the game. And they're going into a very intricate Baron dance, which we normally see with split-pushing. And taking a quick look at the map, you can see our chief culprit in this suspect. We have, of course, the TP coming in from Lissandra. And what was happening right here before the Baron was going out is that you had Marquette trying to force the Baron in order to get this TP out. When you have a split pusher on the other team, you have two options: fight the split pusher or get the split pusher to go ahead and join. Marquette decided to go ahead and choose the second option, but here is where the problem lies. Before we get this started, you can see that this is still not a team comp you really want to fight around. You have a lot of more poke elements here. Of course, everyone kind of grouped up in the middle. You have the flank from the top coming in. You have the movement from the bottom. And the main portion here is that once this TP comes out at the bottom, you need to get the heck out of dodge. You have range, you don't have team fight, but unfortunately, up against this composition, you can play this clip out from here. Once this TP comes in, there's just not a firm enough disengage. A little bit too much time spent with Reaper, and then once you get into this absolute channel corridor of death, it is just game over. DePaul finally find the engage they want. Great movement up here from King Mason, and unfortunately, Snickers had an absolutely fantastic series so far, but can't save him at the end of the day, and that's just too much engagement coming through from DePaul for Marquette to handle, and that's going to be the series. Back to you guys on the desk.
Thanks so much, Return. Yeah, just too much to handle. I feel like that sort of was the nature of the game. Every time it felt like Marquette dealt with threat 1, 2, and 3, there was a fourth one just piled on top. It was the straw that broke the camel's back time and again.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I think Marquette will look back at this series and realize for 90 to 95% of the game, we played to our win condition of our composition. But in this case, the two times where they didn't, that's where they get punished. They did not pick team fighting compositions, and they constantly found themselves trying to fight because it was around an objective. And so you have to be the one that's coming into the Baron after someone else is already starting it, compared to being the one that starts it up.
It was like, hey, we should take Baron's open. We should take, but should we? But should we, though? And that was really it. And instead of it should have been, why don't we bait DePaul into the Baron? Right, there it is. There it is.
And DePaul did a good job there at the very end with the Lissandra split pushing on the bottom side of the map.
Switching up to a
no one was down there to match. And I think that's kind of like one of those questions, right? That is the strength of that. That's the reason why you have an Akali to go down there and be able to match anyone else that's down there. And so just look back at that time if you're Marquette and VOD review this and be like, hey, look, we played to our condition. We fell a little bit further behind in gold because they might be better mechanical players to get those leads in lanes through CS, through pressure. but we need to remember what is the overall spirit of our composition. What can we do? What can't we do? And when we don't, this is an example of what happens.
So definitely a learning lesson here for Marquette, who still show a lot of promise in the preseason invitational. But I talked about a little thing earlier on in the show. I don't know, maybe a cast and chat chowdown brought to you by Grubhub.
I can't wait. Here we go. I wonder what kind of delicious food our fantastic friends in the Discord have chosen for us, because I'm sure they're great. Oh, and here comes our favorite delivery.
What were our options? I don't even know.
I don't know either.
Okay. What is Tacos?
Tacos. Thank you,
tacos.
Twitch chat. And thank you, Discord. And also, thank you, Grubhubby. Our
Thanks,
Grub
Grubhubby.
husband. Fantastic.
Grub husbando.
Yeah, let's take a look here.
It's light.
Yes.
Oh,
it's baby
soft shell.
tacos. Yeah, here we go. Here.
Good. Oh, I think we
Get
have
in there.
chicken
Oh, yeah.
and carnitas,
Right
I
there.
think, as well.
Meat was falling off just a bit there, but
That's
okay.
fine.
That's
You did
fine.
this to yourself.
All right.
All right. Let's. What are you gonna start with? Chicken or carnitas?
I will go chicken first.
All right. I'll go the other way.
You go ahead first, and I'll shoutcast it.
Here we go.
While we take a look at the discount code there at the bottom of your screen. Paul getting right on in there. Yeah, he is. Make sure to sign up using the code at the very bottom of your screen, grubhub.me/ESL Collegiate to get $12 off, $15 purchase for your first purchase. And make sure you sign up for Grubhub Perks, the perk program that gives back every time you use Grubhub. Free food, that's always a good thing. Paul, how do you like this free food?
Okay.
All right, it's pretty good. That's what he's
pretty
basically saying.
You get on this. I put some hot sauce. What you got? You got some salsa?
I got
hot
green sauce. Yep, too bad.
Okay. All right.
All right, here we go. My
Give me
turn.
a second. We're just gonna eat this. It's impolite to talk with your mouth full, as I was so kindly reminded by Zyrene last week. So, thank you so much to Grubhub for helping to equip fuel the broadcast here for ESL Collegiate. An amazing partner to have, bringing us delicious food and maybe bringing you delicious food as well. $12 off your first order of $15 or more. You definitely want to get in on that. If this was really a thing back when I was in college, I would never would have left my dorm.
Okay, Boomer.
Whoa, hang on. He's older than me. Hang on, not allowed. Okay, we're gonna call it a day here. We're gonna sign off. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will see you next time with more amazing actions here for the ESL Collegiate 2019 Preseason Invitational. See you next time.
Bye.